Good morning to everyone listening to me this morning. My name is Lisa Dublin. I'm a health and life coach, and I help you to live, speak, and lead with confidence. I want to start off by saying everywhere, Happy International Women's Day. I think a couple people are jaded, perhaps me even, and thinking, okay, has the movement lost its steam, and what exactly does it mean to be a woman? But I think there is a lot to celebrate nonetheless. And so that's what we want to do today. Days like this always make you think of, what does it actually mean to be a woman? It's not a monolithic block. It's not that we are all the same. We are very different. I think it's very hard to kind of put your finger on exactly what does it mean to be a woman. And I think being a woman, if you are a woman, being a woman is exactly who you are. I think we need to take it from not the general to the specific, but from who you are, looking out to see other people like you and celebrating difference and, of course, similarities, if that makes any sense. So, welcome wherever you are watching me. Let's begin this morning by affirming ourselves. I am blessed and highly favored, above only and not beneath, the head and not the tail. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. I shall lend and not borrow, and I have nothing missing and nothing broken. You need to affirm yourself because you know how they always say that the first step towards when somebody wants to abuse you or wants to ill treat you or anything of the sort, the very first step is to kind of dehumanize you and make you feel less than yourself, which is why every single person, male and female, especially the females, we have a responsibility to really beef up our, take care of our self-esteem, know who we are, know who God says we are, that kind of thing. It's very important that you do that. So by the time people come with what we call their nonsense, you're like, no, I'm not going to bring this over here. I know who I am. And I think that is definitely part of being a woman, knowing your strengths and your weaknesses, knowing where you start and stop, and being okay with that. Of course, there's always the element of wanting to get better, but you're not going to do it in such a way that, oh my goodness, I'm the worst person in the world, and I'm just going to take anything and anyone who comes. I feel very strongly about that, so that even while I'm a bit wary of the placards and the movements and all of that. Honestly, I'm very much into celebrating women and affirming who we are because it's a beautiful thing to be a woman. Have you looked at us? Oh my goodness, women are beautiful. We are. We are. We absolutely are. And I honor that today. I honor our strength. I honor our diversity. I honor the fact that, we're everything and anything that we want to be. Has that ever happened to you? Like you hear, especially like in Christian circles, a lot of men like to talk about marriage, right? And talk about relationships. And I never, I never recognize the women that they talk about. These women definitely are not me and just definitely are not my friends. And I'm like, where are these women that they talk about who are so scared, who are so like don't know themselves? And no, I mean, I like, and I'm going to talk today about vulnerability actually. So it's not as if like I don't have any of my own, but for the most part, I find that, women are strong. We can do great things in the world, and that's what we do. So excuse me for being strong or not. Okay, folks, let's get started this morning. Just a couple things. Yesterday, remember, I promised that I would tell you about the podcast. So I published it yesterday. So here it is. This is the episode, and that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. Trust issues. Okay. I think this was like my most vulnerable. So please go, you can watch it, you can listen to the podcast on Apple. Please subscribe and leave a review. You can listen on Spotify, the podcast. Let me just show it to you again. It's called Basement Chronicles. IG, you probably can't see it, but you can just go to the link in my bio and you can watch. You can listen to the podcast there. It's still just an audio podcast. It will be, I think, for a couple of years because I'm pretty much enjoying just the process of recording, putting it together. It's really a labor of love. And so I want to invite you to go listen to the podcast. And you can subscribe on Apple, you can subscribe on Spotify as well, because, you just get notified every time I publish an episode on the Thursday. And that way you can keep on listening. It's a way to connect with me without the interference of, like, when things are live, I often have to, and joyfully do that, take into consideration and include the comments of those who are listening to me and that kind of thing. But what you find is, let me just make sure everything's okay. What you find is, in a podcast, it's really like you are just in that space with the person who's presenting. Whether that person has a guest or not, I don't so far. I leave my guests for my Sunday show, my Sunday interview, which is live. So I leave my guests for there for now. So the podcast really is just about just you and the person who's presenting, just being in a bit of a relationship. And I just so enjoy that. I hope you do. I have my favorite podcast that I listen to and I look out for every single week that they are published. So I hope that Basement Chronicles, the podcast, becomes your go-to for inspiration, personal development, for those foundational issues that will be explored from a very vulnerable and curious place, perhaps. Let's see. All right, everybody. I'm just hoping everybody can hear me okay. It seems that we are doing fine there. Okay, let me come off the screen here. Go check out the podcast. And one more thing before we begin. Have you signed up for Speak with Confidence? Listen, this is going to be fire. You want to get in the room? I'm only offering one cohort this year. You know why? Because after you're done with Speak with Confidence, again, if you're on Instagram, please just go to the link in my bio and you can sign up for the wait list there. The thing is, after you graduated from the program, it's 5 weeks long, then you will be co-opted into the speaking school, which is the continuous learning arm, to continue to learn to speak and to present with ease and conviction, to get your message across in a way that gives you credibility, grows your influence, increases your business opportunities, and just spreads the ideas that you have that are valuable and that the world needs to hear and can benefit from. If that is you, please get in the room. Let me just put it up again. Get in the room with the Speak with Confidence on the wait list. We begin in May 3rd to the 30th. This year, there will only be one cohort and already spots are being taken. That's the honest truth. I don't come in here and say like, yeah, go ahead, one more spot, two more spots. No, it's a small group of people that I take each time. And because the program is so customized and so intense, you come out learning to speak better, pronunciation, get your transitions in, know how to entice an audience, know how to increase participation when you speak, know how to come across as the person that everybody identifies with, as opposed to, maybe coming across as arrogant or coming across like aloof from your audience. There's a way for you to connect with audiences, and we just delve into your style and who you are in the program. You want to be there. Another benefit, last one of the Speak with Confidence program, if I may. Speak with Confidence and is coming up, you guys, on Instagram. Okay, please go and do what you have to do. All right. Another advantage is the network that you build from the program. We've had some really, pretty impressive people from all walks of life come through the program, and they have stayed connected. They're part of the group. And so you get to network. You get to spread your influence and just be influenced and be in the presence of other people who are just doing great things in the world. Trust me. So I hope to see you on the wait list. There's only one cohort. It's happening in May. That's it for the year. If you don't get in this year, you'll have to wait until next year. And the reason that I'm putting it forward is because it's a great value. It's something that you want to do, get out of the way, learn to speak and communicate and present so that you get all the opportunities in life that you want to get. So let's talk about vulnerability and trust issues this morning. Are you ready? Please listen to the podcast, and I'd love your feedback. I really, really, really want to hear how you deal with trust issues in your life, if you have any. Okay, so let's see what's happening here on a couple of weeks ago, I had to confront, I had to kind of recognize that something I had never thought about for a very long time. I was just living my life, just living my life. Just, yeah, I have great friends, and I do. And the first thing that I want to say to anybody I consider a friend, yourselves, is that a couple of things that I said, apply and don't apply at the same time. I do enjoy great friendships. But what I realized is, for the most part, I just didn't go that deep with a lot of people. I just didn't. It never occurred to me that you you could go deeper in relationships, in friendships in particular. um I said in the podcast, go listen, because I kind of spilled my guts there. Oh my goodness, it's going down in history. Lisa, what did you do? I kind of said in the podcast, and I related the story of a very long time ago, having suffered some very deep betrayal, and how I didn't realize almost at that point when it happened. I just simply made a decision that I think there's a friend of mine, she and I many years ago came up with the concept of like just being sponge on concrete. Does that make sense to anybody? Just to be that kind of person. Yeah, you're nice, and I genuinely want what's best for my people, my friends, my colleagues, my everybody. I genuinely will be in your corner. Anybody who's close to me knows that I genuinely want what's best for you, and I will go out to bat for you if you are in my circle. Okay. But the sponge and concrete is, don't even think of that we're going further. Like, it's just not an option. And I never realized that it was not an option until I had this very revealing, very like teary, blubbering conversation with a friend a couple weeks ago, who made me realize that, wait a minute, there's more. You've been doing this for a while, and it's not cool. It's not okay. All right. It was just not okay, the way that I was coming across in our relationship, our friendship. And I was forced to take a good look at myself right there. And it was not pretty. And because it wasn't, but because my friend was she's such a connector, and such a person who creates a space, because of her very warm nature, I must say. She just created this space where, I just told her what I had just come to realize in myself, that because of that betrayal from a long time ago, I really wasn't into going very far with people. Is there anybody who feels that way out there? Anybody? Just tell me. Don't leave me here by myself spilling my guts. Hey, Della, how are you doing? Right? I I could do this for days. But that conversation changed my life. And I thank God for the realization that you don't have to stay in pain. You don't have to stay cowered up, afraid, bunched up, not reaching out and not enjoying the benefits of having people in your life who can add to you in deeper ways than you thought possible, because you let them in, and then you yourself take the time to be for them what they need. That was a big realization for me that I don't think I would have been able to come to if I didn't understand that, okay, God has my back. No need to be afraid anymore, Lisa. Lisa, why are you afraid anyway? Why exactly are you afraid? You shouldn't be afraid, because God has your back. And so in that conversation, we spent hours together. And in that conversation, I didn't even know where to turn, because like when something comes out of the blue in your life, like you have no anchor, you have no reference point. You are just like a sail in the wind, a kite in the wind. That is how I felt for a bit there, because I was like, okay, if I'm going to do friendship differently, where do I even begin? Like, this is exactly how I was stuttering, blubbering, lost, feeling like a kid faced with something that I didn't even know existed, but I wanted to explore. And then afterwards, thinking about things, thinking about what am I doing, and how can I go forward with trust in a way that needs to be brave and courageous, and also needs to give me results, because like I'm about results. Like, how can I trust people? That's a simple question. And I was taken back to um, just having had a conversation with somebody about love. And I think friendships are about love, are they not? Tell me. Tell me, school me this morning. What are friendships about? Are friendships about what are friendships about? Friendships about love, aren't they? And we have a blueprint for love in the Bible. So I went back there. Love is patient. You know that chapter, First Corinthians chapter 13. I wonder if I can pull it up right now. Let me see if I can get it on my on my other phone. Okay. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love, it doesn't hold any record of wrongs. It is not arrogant or boastful. It holds no grudges. Right? You remember that? Let me just get it quickly. That verse is very, very important, right? Geez, this is the time that the Bible app decides to ask me whether I like the Bible app. Like, what is going on anyway? Okay, let me just get First Corinthians chapter 13. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered, and it keeps no record of wrongs. It does not delight in evil, but rejoices in truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Now, that is not as sexy as saying, I will never trust people again. You're going to listen to the podcast and you'll just hear me going on all dramatic, okay? But I will never, ever, I thought to myself that I would never, ever like trust people that way again. And I had this discussion again with a couple of my colleagues yesterday when the podcast came out and we were discussing it. And a couple things, have moved the conversation about along, I should say. We have trust issues. A lot of people have trust issues. A lot of people go the route of, okay, I've been hurt and it's not happening again. I'm going to protect my heart, which is where I was. Uh, it's just not an option. And I sealed it so completely that I didn't even know that there was a scar. I didn't even recognize that, I needed to open that trap door and look to see what was in my heart. And that's what my friend, made me do. But a lot of us make the decision to not love again, to not trust again out of fear, not realizing that there's another way to do it. So, my conversation yesterday with some of my colleagues about the idea of trust really moved the opinion along somewhat. And I'm so happy that, I had that conversation and then I come here this morning to talk. And it really is when things happen to us, we need to kind of evaluate, don't we? You need to kind of sit back and think, like, why did this happen? I went back to my situation that happened all of these years ago that really prompted, this just not even going that deep with people anymore, and recognized a couple things that that going forward will serve me well. Um, there's something called discerning of spirits and being able to know where people are coming from. And I think it's very important. So even if, yes, we want to start from a position of trust and a position of giving people the benefit of the doubt, there is also discernment and evaluation of people's actions as opposed to the words that come out of their mouth. Isn't there? And I think that is warranted, to be able to look at somebody's actions as opposed to what they just say, and to determine what category of friendship perhaps that person is going to be in. And I don't think I did that. Like I do have closer friends. Some friends are closer than others. That is the honest truth. And I think we're all like that. But there are hidden areas. There were areas that, no, there are areas, I should say. Let me not even try to make it different. There are areas that are just not available. You know how when you go into, I don't know, like I have a YouTube channel, I have YouTube channels, okay? And you have the option when you upload certain videos, you have the option to either make them private, public, or I think unavailable. Yeah. And I think maybe perhaps every single person has those areas, right? Like maybe I'm mixing it up a little bit, but as you can see, like I'm really feeling my way through those issues of trust and perhaps taking my entire audience along with me and offering, where are you on the trust continuum? Where are you on the trust journey? How do you determine who you trust? Do you have your ride or die people? Do you have people who you know you can count on no matter what and that you can tell your deepest, darkest secrets? Or are you the kind of person who just holds it all in, never goes that deep with anybody that they would ever have anything to hurt you with? Oh my goodness, even the way that I say it, it shows my orientation, doesn't it? I mean, I'm okay with that though. Nobody's perfect, and that's fine. That's part of like being out here solving things for yourself and for other people. It really is figuring it out. So, the one thing that happened from the conversation and from talking about God in all of this was that I don't need to be afraid to trust anymore. That secondly, I don't need to be afraid to trust anymore because I have a blueprint. I This is what love is, okay? And in the podcast I was saying that, even if we know what this is what love is, it doesn't mean that if somebody's not matching up to this, that you simply discard them, because you're going to discard every single person, including yourself. Does that make sense? Yeah. You're going to discard every single person in your life, including yourself, because you don't even match up to this in other people's lives. So I'm not even sure, like, what I was thinking and feeling to be like, okay, every single person just belongs in a certain category, can't go any further, not realizing that this love walk, this friendship walk, it really is a journey. And I feel comfortable and no longer afraid to want to step out and call this the year of loving bravely, loving courageously, with my friends, with everybody around me, basically. So let's see how I'll check in with the podcast regularly to see how this love walk is going, this friendship walk, this trust walk. But I wonder whether there's anybody out there who has had those eureka moments, those aha moments in your life when somebody reveals something to you that you had never considered in yourself. But the minute that you heard it, it made sense for years before. That it was that kind of, I felt like I was in a time warp. I didn't know where I was. I was like, what are you, what are you, what? Yeah, it was for a pilot like me. Like, that is my personality. Like, you have to be in control of yourself, and not other people, mind you, but myself. Okay, like, don't get it twisted. For somebody who likes to be that calm, collected, like, know what I'm doing, yeah, it was a very vulnerable moment. But now that it's past, I'm very happy for it, and I'm okay with being that way sometimes. Whew, okay, I said it. And so I just want to encourage us this morning. I think it's a better life with relationship. Here's the other thing, and this, it hinges too on female relationships, in particular on friendships and that kind of thing. You guys know that friendships can be messy. Do you agree? I have to admit, part of the reason perhaps that I don't bother too much is because I find friendships take a lot of time. Oh my gosh, what did I just say? Did I just lose people? No, friendships take time. I have to figure out what you think, what you're saying. But you know what? I realized you can't just have everything very quickly, cut and dried. No, it can't be that way. Friendships take time, they are messy, there's back and forth, they take up space in your head, and they're great. The reward, however, is that you have another human being, to like, to love, to spend time with, to get to know, somebody to enrich your life, and somebody whose life you can enrich as well, and somebody to just simply hang out with and just have a good old time. I've got friends who I just chat with, like we just have a good old time. I have other friends who, I spoke about it in one of the podcasts, Intense Friendships. You can go check it out. The podcast is on Apple, on Spotify, and it's also on YouTube on the Basement Chronicles channel. So go subscribe, because then you get notifications when the podcast come out. But friendships are messy, but they are rewarding. I think that's what I want to leave with us, because we are at the 25-minute mark. And I hope that we just continue having great friendships. Okay, folks. So please go check out the podcast. And most importantly, let me know what you think. This is part of living bravely, loving bravely, soliciting feedback, engaging warmly and deeply into relationships, and perhaps too saying it a little bit as it is as well. Like, don't you find that sometimes it just makes sense to just not say anything and just continue along your way? I choose my battles very quickly because I just do not like to be bothered. I choose my battles very, very specifically. Um, and I'm thinking to myself, how much of an option is that anymore if I'm going to be living and loving bravely? Sometimes you have to say certain things. I think it's how we say them, but sometimes for the betterment of relationships. And it doesn't have to be the deep ones, the ones that you care about. I think at every level, truth and authenticity are important. That takes time, because sometimes the way to get to that truth and to get to understanding between people, it is really to have those kinds of messy, long, drawn out conversations. I am not looking forward to it. Did I say that? I'm not. But I'm willing to go further, because I feel like I haven't explored that aspect of my life, and now is the time. So let's see how that is a lot of like material for more podcasts and all of that. So we'll talk about that going forward. But have a wonderful weekend. And to all the women out there, the answer to what is a woman? Who is a woman? And the answer to that question is you. Yeah, you make that womanhood. You define that womanhood into the contours of who you are. It doesn't work the other way that it's prescribed for us. It works the way that this is who you are. So this has to be what womanhood is about: good and bad, strong and weak. All of the things, all of the every end of the continuum. Let's put it that way. Anyway, I'll get out of your hair, folks. I will see you again, hopefully on Sunday. I'm organizing my interview for Sunday, so it might happen, it mightn't. So I'll put out, the notifications if we're having our live interview on Sunday. But have a wonderful weekend. And again, to all the ladies, the women out there, you're amazing. You're beautiful. Celebrate that today. Bye, everybody. Take care. See ya.